the Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would be going up against one another in the WNBA.
For 5 long years, basketball fans have been absolutely glued to one of the most legendary rivalries in the game, Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. We watched these high school phenoms take wildly different paths, Clark to Iowa, Bueckers to UConn, and if you remember, Clark absolutely ran wild in their college matchups, especially when March Madness hit. Despite that, critics like Gino Auriemma kept asking, can Clark really make that translate to the WNBA? Well, last night, these two finally clashed as pros when the Indiana Fever hosted the Dallas Wings. But what unfolded wasn't just another game. It was Clark making history in a way literally only she has done twice. If you're hyped to dive into the records that got shattered, then hit that comment section with CC Record Breaker. Let's go! Imagine this, 2 teenage basketball phenoms dominating the national scene, practically destined for an epic decade-long clash. Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers first faced off in high school, both top recruits, but with playing styles and personalities as different as night and day. Clark brought the explosive scoring, the surgical passing, and those deep logo-range threes that make your jaw drop. Bueckers, on the other hand, was all about smooth efficiency, that silky mid-range jumper, and court vision that truly rivaled Clark's. Seriously, these two have been duking it out since middle school.
You guys were on the U19 World Cup team together. Is there anything that maybe stood out then about her, whether it be on or off the court, that maybe still reigns true today?
I mean, I feel like she's played in the same manner that she, has since she was, whether we were on the U16 team together, U19 team together, whether it was me watching her in AAU, like she's always just been smooth. She takes what the game gives her. Her midi has always been as nice as it's been this year. She's just she just plays way older than she is. Like she's confident, she's smooth, she just does everything at a high level, can score from all 3 levels. And that's how she's always played, and that's obviously translated.
Their college journeys then veered off into dramatically different universes. Bueckers chose the iconic UConn program, stepping into a dynasty under legendary coach Gino Auriemma, a place practically dripping with national championships. Clark, meanwhile, picked Iowa, a program hungry for greatness, eager to prove itself on the biggest stages. This divergent choice laid the groundwork for some truly epic NCAA tournament battles, the kind that define legacies. And it was Clark's Iowa team that consistently crushed Bueckers' UConn dreams in March Madness, dropping monster performances when it mattered most, including a legendary 41-point masterpiece that sent the Huskies packing early. Clark straight up outplayed Bueckers head-to-head, winning 2 of their 3 college showdowns, solidifying a mythical rivalry that transcended college basketball itself.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin and all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
But let's talk about Gino Auriemma. He wasn't shy about his specific critiques of Clark's game. He openly questioned her shot selection and outright doubted her WNBA readiness, especially when stacked against his own star, Bueckers. Auriemma was convinced that Bueckers' fundamental game would translate far better to the professional level. In his eyes, Clark's flashy, explosive scoring and Bueckers' smooth, efficient mastery represented 2 fundamentally opposing philosophies of basketball excellence.
And Diana said it best, this kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
So when both players finally declared for the WNBA, the question on every fan's mind was simple. When would they finally meet as professionals? The stage was set for their inaugural WNBA showdown, with Clark holding that 2-1 college advantage, but now facing a whole new set of questions about her pro game. The anticipation was absolutely off the charts, so much so that ABC picked up the broadcast nationally, knowing this matchup was a guaranteed ratings magnet. And for Clark, with the Fever's recent struggles looming large, this game became even more crucial for her reputation.
Talking to our player development coach yesterday, and he was like, just sent me a few things of like even Steph going through a slump. I think he was like 27 for his last 70 or something like that. Like the best in the world go through it, and I think that's like where you can find your confidence. And I think the thing I always fall back on is like, I know how hard I've worked. So, this isn't something that's going to last, and the best players in the world go through this. So I feel like I'm getting good shots, and I think that's why it's frustrating, because those are the shots that I make.
But here's where the plot thickens. The Fever, Clark's team, were stumbling, and I mean badly, right before this colossal showdown. They just suffered a string of embarrassing losses to teams they frankly should have crushed. The LA Sparks and even the Golden State Valkyries handed them defeats that left fans scratching their heads, wondering what in the world was going on. These weren't powerhouse teams. These were squads the Fever should have handled with ease.
I feel like this stretch, this is a big game for us. I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. So I think for us is like, we got to find a way to be able to stack really good games together. And then we go on the road, and, we're on a back-to-back, which is just a challenge in itself. No matter who you're playing, we play Connecticut, then we play New York. So I think Steph's message was, yes, All-Stars coming up, that break's coming up, but our focus is on these 3 games that we have left. So in that sense, I do think it's critical that our focus just remains on the game in front of us. And I feel like that's what everybody in the locker room is doing.
Behind the scenes, a full-blown philosophical war was brewing between Clark's high-octane, fast-paced vision and Coach Stephanie White's seemingly slower, more deliberate approach. Clark was practically begging to push the tempo and unleash a torrent of fast-break opportunities. White, however, seemed to prefer a more controlled, half-court style. This fundamental clash in basketball philosophy created palpable tension within the organization. Clark, a transition basketball savant, was being stifled by a system that simply didn't allow for her explosive style. The defining moment? That heated sideline exchange between Clark and White during the Atlanta Dream game. Cameras caught every single word of their intense discussion, laying bare the depth of their disagreement and the visible intensity of their conflict.
There is definitely something going on within the locker room, the front office. Something is off, man. This is the 3rd situation in one game we have had involving Caitlin Clark and the coaching staff and pretty much another player. And it looked like Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime.
To make matters worse, the Fever's lineup was a constant rotating door of inconsistency. Clark herself was still finding her rhythm back from injury, while Damiris Dante was returning from national team duty. These constant changes absolutely shredded their chemistry. The team simply couldn't establish consistent rotations or any offensive flow. Players were still trying to figure out their roles, with key pieces constantly coming and going. The offensive mishaps plaguing the Fever were agonizing to watch. Missed shots piled up, game after game. Turnovers killed promising possessions. That fast break magic Clark thrives on was nowhere to be found. As Clark herself admitted, I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. Her shooting struggles during this stretch became a major concern, but even then, she acknowledged the slump with fierce confidence. I'm never going to stop shooting, comparing herself to Steph Curry's occasional cold streaks. The breaking point arrived when the Fever finally snapped their losing streak against Atlanta. They won that game, but the underlying tensions between Clark and White remained sky high. The philosophical divide hadn't been resolved. It was simply put on hold.
It can be frustrating when your shot isn't going in the way that you want it to, but then like I look at the box and it's like I'm really 4 shots away from having a really good game, a really good shooting game. So that's where you find your confidence, and I know those are shots that I can make, and I'm never going to stop shooting. So, until I break out of it, I'm just going to keep launching, and that's all I know, and I'm still confident in everything that I can do.
The Dallas game was more than just a matchup. It was the ultimate test. Would Coach White finally unleash Clark's preferred electrifying style? Or would that stubborn philosophical divide continue to shackle the team's true potential? This intense internal struggle created the perfect storm for the Bueckers matchup, with Clark practically desperate to prove her approach could dominate at the professional level. And then, something truly magical happened. Stephanie White finally gave Clark exactly what she'd been asking for. Against Dallas, White made a crucial, game-changing decision. She let Clark control the tempo and run the offense. This wasn't just some minor adjustment. White completely flipped her script and trusted Clark to lead the team at the breakneck pace she desired.
Lee Rue the other night had a season-high 18 points. Here's Boston turning the corner. Dishing to Hull. Extra feed Clark. A deep three. You bet! And he actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well. Right on the money to Mitchell.
Cunningham attacked the closeout.
Clark, the rejection of Quinterly. Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown Fever.
Early in the game, it honestly wasn't clear if this bold new strategy would even work. Both teams spent the first quarter feeling each other out, almost like a tense chess match. The Fever looked good, sure, but not spectacular. They were slowly finding their rhythm, and Clark was getting her teammates involved. But the real fireworks hadn't ignited yet. The Wings were keeping pace, and the game felt genuinely competitive.
Here's Clark, being hawked by Isaiah James. Clark sidestepping three is good. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot, fading away and dropping it in. Beautiful. Here's Clark off the screen. Through the lane, feeds Howard. Another assist for Clark. That's 13 as Howard.
Then, boom, the explosive second quarter hit and everything just clicked into place. Clark started pushing the pace like a woman possessed, faster than she had all season. She was finding teammates with those incredible full court passes, the ones fans have affectionately nicknamed touchdown passes. The Fever absolutely torched the Nets, scoring an unbelievable 36 points in that quarter alone. They outscored Dallas by a whopping 21 points in just 10 minutes. This wasn't just good basketball. This was basketball poetry in motion, a masterclass in controlled chaos.
And he actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well. Right on the money to Mitchell. A tenacious start from Caitlin Clark. Here's Agumbawale off on a three. Long rebound. Mitchell. You're not going to catch her. Kelsey Mitchell in for two. They elevate each other because of how hard they compete. Nice look, Aaliyah Boss.
Clark's teammates, sensing the shift, responded to her leadership in absolutely amazing ways. Kelsey Mitchell caught fire, draining 20 points on a scorching 8 of 12 shooting, extending her double-digit scoring streak to an incredible 21 games. Mitchell was hitting shots from every angle, feeding directly off Clark's energy and blistering pace. Natasha Howard was practically flying down the floor like a gazelle, finishing with 18 points on an incredibly efficient 8 of 9 shooting. She looked unstoppable attacking the rim, and Aaliyah Boston, she was dominating inside, using her size and strength to completely own the paint, finishing every single opportunity Clark created for her. The chemistry between Clark and Boston was simply perfect. Clark would draw defenders in with her speed, then find Boston for easy, wide open baskets.
Mitchell bounces, Boston, one more time. This time Mitchell delivering. And Boston up to 13 points. Indiana shooting 6.
Here's what truly elevated this performance to legendary status. The Fever erupted for a franchise record 64 points in the first half alone. They were playing the most beautiful, free-flowing basketball they'd shown all season. This shattered their previous record of 63 points, set way back in 2016 against the New York Liberty. Those 64 points also marked the highest scoring half by any WNBA team during the 2025 season. The Fever's 30 assists tied a franchise record, and a jaw-dropping 13 of those came directly from Clark, proving unequivocally that she could elevate everyone around her when given the freedom to dictate the game. Clark wasn't just scoring, she was making her teammates genuinely better. The ball movement was mesmerizing. Every pass had a purpose. Every possession felt dangerous. And then there was Sophie Cunningham, providing the perfect spark off the bench, adding yet another scoring threat that made the Fever truly unstoppable. Cunningham poured in 13 points, including a slick driving layup that propelled her past 1,500 career points. Her energy and shooting ability armed the Fever with another weapon Dallas simply couldn't handle.
Cunningham the rebound. Cunningham swiftly up the floor, finds Howard for two. Sophie Cunningham making a huge impact off the bench, and Dallas will take a timeout.
In this lineup, Natasha Howard is the quickest post player on the floor.
That second quarter's explosive 36-point output didn't just make headlines. It tied for the third most points scored in a single quarter in Fever franchise history. During that dominant stretch, the team shot a ridiculous 76.2% from the field, going on a blistering 33-9 run that lasted nearly 8 minutes. The Dallas Wings simply had no answers for the Fever's relentless pace and energy. The game quickly devolved into a complete blowout as the Wings just couldn't keep up with Indiana's turbocharged transition game. Dallas looked tired, confused, and utterly helpless. Clark's vision for fast-paced basketball wasn't just working, it was dominating at the professional level. This wasn't merely a win, it was concrete proof that Clark's up-tempo, free-flowing basketball could completely overwhelm opponents in the WNBA. Coach White had finally unleashed the monster, and the results were nothing short of historic.
Good dub. 2 in a row. 2 more to All-Star. Let's go.
W. Oh, Fever does. You already know what's coming. Bow, bow, bow. On to the next. Hell yeah! Can you use that one? Let's go, baby.
But here's the moment that will be etched into the history books forever. Clark didn't just win, she made WNBA history. While she was orchestrating the game's dominance, Clark was quietly assembling a stat line that had only ever been achieved once before in the entire history of the WNBA. She was doing absolutely everything on the court, scoring when the team needed it, setting up her teammates with perfectly timed assists, and then something truly special began happening on defense. The numbers steadily climbed throughout the game. Clark ended with 14 points, showcasing efficient scoring without forcing a single shot. She dished out 13 assists, proving beyond a doubt she could make everyone around her better. And then those defensive plays started pouring in. Clark was reading passing lanes like a mind reader, anticipating the Wings' next move before they even made it.
Is in bounds. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot, fading away and dropping it in. Beautiful mid-range fadeaway from Caitlin Clark.
Here's the exact moment history was made. Clark recorded her 5th steal of the game, completing a jaw-dropping stat line of 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals. This solidified Clark as the only player in WNBA history to achieve this specific combination not just once, but twice in her career. She now stands completely alone, a record holder in a category of 1, but Clark's defensive impact stretched far beyond those 5 steals. She also recorded a crucial block that immediately led to a fast break assist to Sophie Cunningham. This single play perfectly encapsulated her complete court awareness and uncanny ability to generate scoring opportunities directly from defensive efforts. She was systematically disrupting the Wings' offensive flow with her incredible anticipation skills. Every single possession felt dangerous when Clark was on defense.
Cunningham attacked the closeout.
Clark, the rejection of Quinterly. Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown, Fever.
Sophie Cunningham runs the route and puts her hand up in the air, gives Caitlin Clark the target, barely over the fingertips of Hines Allen. Beautiful, beautiful pass, catch, in stride, finish. Beautiful basketball.
Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings had absolutely no answer for Clark's complete all-around game. The most telling statistic, Arike Ogunbowale, arguably one of the Wings' best players, went a chilling 0 for 10 from the field, finishing with only 2 points. Arike is supposed to be a dominant force, but Clark's relentless defensive pressure and the Fever's overall team defense rendered her completely ineffective. This abysmal performance from a key player starkly highlighted the Fever's total dominance. The Wings' strategy of trying to be overly physical with Clark backfired spectacularly. They resorted to grabbing her off the ball and completely blowing defensive switches. This crude approach was utterly ineffective because Clark masterfully used their aggression against them, finding wide open teammates or driving straight to the basket. Every time they tried to slow her down physically, she found a way to make them pay, and pay dearly. The final score of 102-83 spoke volumes. Clark had answered every critic and silenced every doubter who questioned her WNBA readiness. points. This wasn't just a good game, this was a statement performance, a definitive declaration that she belongs among the league's elite players. This historic showing proved Clark wasn't merely adapting to the WNBA, she was actively rewriting what was possible at the professional level. The rivalry with Bueckers had finally reached a new chapter, and Clark had written the opening pages in utterly dominant fashion.
I feel like this was one of their best games as far as playing Fever basketball, which is a fast-paced style of basketball. They played Fever basketball for, I would say, about 75 to 80% of the game. And we have obviously seen this style of basketball, the style of basketball that we all know and love from the Indiana Fever, but we have only really seen it in short spurts. There have been so many games and so many times throughout this season where it feels like the Fever system is a slow down basketball type of system. Their offense wasn't running smoothly, but in this game, they were playing quick. They were moving the ball around. They had so many points off of the fast break.
The prophecy is now complete. Caitlin Clark has unequivocally proven she belongs among the WNBA's elite, while simultaneously making history that only she can claim. This utterly dominant blowout victory over Bueckers and the Wings showcases the Fever's true potential when Clark is finally unleashed to play her signature style of basketball. Franchise records tumbled, individual achievements piled up, but most importantly, the team chemistry finally clicked into place because Coach White trusted Clark's vision. With the second half of the 2025 season rapidly approaching and this legendary rivalry just beginning its professional chapter, basketball fans have every reason to be absolutely thrilled for what comes next. The Fever are facing challenging road games against Connecticut and New York ahead, so if you're hyped about the Fever now that Clark is back, then hit that comment section with CC Record Breaker. Give us a like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen and we will see you in the next one.